You're listening to the 5-Minute Friday podcast episode of The Aligned Self. This is your host, Daniel J-N-O-V. Okay, 5-Minute Friday, a short and concise podcast episode of The Aligned Self, designed to leave you with a question, an idea, a strategy, a tip, a hack, in order to give you greater access to your conscious awareness, evolving your conscious awareness, or give you greater mastery over your mind. Now, normally on the 5-Minute Friday, I introduce a new concept, a new idea, a strategy that you can take away. In this one, I want to talk about a mistake I made just recently, and a point of clarification. If you listen to the podcast just before this, I talked about pain and discomfort. And what I didn't do, I didn't ask a question of myself. See, I thought this idea on pain and discomfort was for you all, not for me. And I didn't ask the question, or a series of questions, starting with, does this apply to me? How does this apply to me? Where in my life am I tolerating something that is no longer serving me? You see, that message on pain and discomfort was for me. There was a situation back in 2020, when everything was shut down. I developed an issue with one of my molars. It was hurting, and I hypnotized myself to alleviate the pain, and I took some steps to address it on the nutritional side. So I increased my oil of oregano, which is antiviral, antibacterial, and the seeming infection went away. And I said to myself, once things open up, I'm going to get myself to the dentist. Well, it wasn't 30 minutes after I posted that last podcast that I had the onset of horrible pain. And it, horrible is descriptive, but it was, in fact, just me talking about it starts bringing the pain back up. And this is a lesson that whatever you focus on magnifies. But in being with the pain, I put myself into trance and minimized the effect, but it was still bothering me. So I broke down and took some ibuprofen, which is typically one of my last resorts. And the other thing I did is I got myself on a course of antibiotics, which I avoid like the plague, because anytime that you're on antibiotics, it changes and morphs your microbiome. So after I get done with this, I'm going to have to start rebuilding my microbiome, probiotics, and yada, yada, yada. Because that is actually the center of your immune system. And we all know that you need your immune system intact. And I will go into a deep dive on immunity, super immunity. Super immunity is integrating your mind with practices and nutrition in order to boost the function of your immune system to the point where you can resist virtually anything. But going back to the last podcast, I remember in that saying that I was so compelled to talk about this, it's like I could not talk about it because it wasn't even on my radar. I had other things to talk about, other things I was going to discuss, but I discussed that, and it was my other than conscious mind saying, there's something here that has been bothering you, that you've just kind of been tolerating, and now's the time to take care of it. So when pain shows up, acute pain, that's the time to take care of things. When it's discomfort, and I just clarifying the whole last podcast, when it's discomfort, recognize, is it something that you intuitively do not want to do, or are you just not feeling it? Are you just not in the right state of mind? And so getting yourself and practicing being comfortable, feeling a little uncomfortable, gets yourself moving, overcomes inertia. And in the context of manifesting, we do not want to be in discomfort. We want to be in positive, high vibe, gratitude, satisfaction, in that state of open receiving. But I have recognized for myself over the years that sometimes I get lazy. Sometimes I get in a mood where I just don't want to do anything. And sometimes I honor that. Sometimes I take the day off. Sometimes I take a long nap. Sometimes I go play. when, part of my mind is saying, well, you do have work to do. But as I tell my wife, we always have work to do, because she has the same issue of taking time off, or, maybe taking a nap or laying around some days. Because we work at home, our work is kind of always accessible, always kind of in our face. So there is always something to do. I have a list of things that I want to accomplish. So if I get granular, if I drill down to the very specifics about what this podcast is about and what the last podcast was about, I need to go back to the 10,000 Whispers episode. Now, that was a double episode. But the fundamental idea behind that is that the universe is always conspiring, always communicating to you. Your intuition is always on. Intuitive guidance is always available. Whatever you are currently aware of is not some fluke of accident, not just, something that popped in your head. It's intentional. Your other than conscious mind and the universe is intentional in answering your current question or informing you to move in a direction or to take notice of an idea, to open up. But there's a but. Your mind is a machine for the most part. It's been programmed with a myriad of information. A lot of it's conflicting. A lot of it's limiting. That you have obtuse ideas and you put thoughts together. And just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's a message from the universe. So what is really required is calibration. Calibrating inside what is intuitive guidance and, again, what is just the monkey mind messing around. I guess another way to talk about calibration is isolating different aspects of the monkey mind. How does it feel? How does it sound? And then tune into intuitive guidance. How does that sound different? How does it feel different? Where does it occur in your body differently? And calibration is a term that's used widely in NLP and science and mechanics and a host of other disciplines. And it's all about, getting, a finer and finer system of measurement to where you can distinguish one from another. So what's the takeaway here? Well, one is that if you have an idea and a thought that keeps popping up again and again, is continually playing in the background, like that pain and discomfort was, it begs a deeper question. What does this mean about me? What is my unconscious, my other than conscious, attempting to tell me, inform me of? What do I need to pay attention to that may have been off my radar? You see, I said that very same thing inside that podcast. I started it out saying, this topic hasn't even been on my radar. And that brings me to a second point. Anything that comes up in your psyche didn't just happen there. Even though everything that pops up comes across your brain or comes across your mind or off your tongue is not always relevant or important, you can trace its roots to where it's coming from. What is the origin idea? What's the sponsoring thought, the sponsoring feeling? What is the state of mind that has given birth to this train of thought? And then the third thing, the last thing that I want to leave you with today is that your other than conscious mind is always working on your behalf. It is always there to support you. It is the friend that is with you 24/7, 365. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. That aspect of you is always working on your behalf every day, every hour. And there's a lot of comfort in knowing that there is an aspect of divinity that has your back. Okay, that's it for this 5-Minute Friday, and we'll dive deeper on some of the topics that I mentioned in this down the road and create even finer and finer distinctions to give you a greater control, a greater mastery over your mind and life. This is Daniel Denovi telling you, commanding you, suggesting strongly, inviting you, follow your bliss and live the epic life.